Welcome to the Body Map Explainer, unlocking the secrets within. Here, every heartbeat, every breath tells a story of life. Discover the intricate map of your body.
Hey everyone, and welcome. I am absolutely thrilled to share today's explainer with you because we are looking at one of the most fascinating, intricate, and flat-out mind-boggling systems in the entire human body. Today we're exploring a source text that views the human ear not just as a product of random chance, but as a masterfully engineered, irreducibly complex system that, according to the text, points directly to an intelligent creator. So whether you're interested in the deep microscopic biology of how we process sound, or you're curious about the theological and philosophical arguments the text makes about intelligent design, this is absolutely going to be an incredible journey.
Okay, let's dive right into this anatomical roadmap. We'll start with the macro view in The Miracle of Hearing. Decode the cochlea, examine those microscopic masterpieces, uncover the hidden balance center, and finally look at the human experience in the challenges of hearing loss. Basically, we're taking a journey from the visible ear all the way down to the nanometer level.
Starting us off with Section 1, The Miracle of Hearing.
Now, to truly grasp the source material, we first have to understand its foundational premise. You see, the text argues that hearing is far more than just a biological survival tool that developed to help us avoid predators. Instead, it frames hearing as a deliberate, divine gift designed specifically for communication, worship, and deep, meaningful relationship. And let's look at how this builds mechanically. Sound doesn't just instantly become music in your brain, right? It goes on a pretty wild journey. Step 1. Sound hits the pinna. That's the visible part of your ear, which is perfectly shaped to capture and funnel frequencies, especially human speech. Step 2, those sound waves travel down the canal and hit the eardrum. That's a highly sensitive 3-layered membrane, and the waves cause it to vibrate. Step 3, these vibrations hit the ossicles, which are literally the 3 smallest bones in your body. The text emphasizes that these bones form a perfectly balanced lever system that amplifies sound, while incredibly featuring a built-in muscle reflex to tighten up and protect you from sudden loud noises. And finally, step 4, all that mechanical energy is handed off to the inner ear, the cochlea, for translation.
Which brings us right into Section 2, Decoding Sound, the cochlea. If the outer ear is the funnel and the middle ear is the amplifier, well, the inner ear is the supercomputer. The source material describes the cochlea as an absolute marvel of nanoengineering and the creator's masterpiece of sound detection. To really understand why it's a masterpiece, just look at this number, 20 to 20,000 hertz. That is the staggering frequency range a healthy young human ear can detect. Just think about the mathematical and spatial precision required to take a completely chaotic wave of air pressure and translate it into a recognizable note of music or a whispered word in mere milliseconds. I mean, it is processing data faster and more efficiently than our most advanced digital microphones.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how the cochlea manages that massive frequency range. It's a phenomenon called tonal topic mapping. Inside the spiral of your cochlea is a membrane that actually changes in shape and flexibility. The base is narrow and stiff, acting kind of like a catcher's mitt for high-frequency sounds, like a bird chirping. But as you spiral toward the apex, it becomes wide and flexible, which is perfectly tuned for low-frequency sounds, like a bass drum. It is quite literally laid out like a biological piano keyboard inside your head. The text argues this kind of pre-programmed spatial blueprint is clear evidence of foresight and purposeful design.
Let's zoom in even further now for Section 3, Microscopic Masterpieces of Design. Here is where the source text makes its strongest arguments against secular evolutionary theory, relying on the incredibly delicate, interdependent structures buried deep inside the cochlea. The core of the source's argument rests on this concept right here, irreducible complexity. This is the idea that you have a system of interdependent parts where all components literally must be fully formed and function simultaneously for the system to work at all. The text argues that because a partially formed ear provides no hearing benefit, the ear's delicate structures could not have been assembled gradually over millions of years of trial and error. To the author, it's an all-or-nothing system. To put the awe-inspiring scale of this complexity into perspective, consider the number 15,500. Deep inside the cochlea is the organ of Corti, and resting on it are 15,500 tiny sensory hair cells. We're talking 3,500 inner cells and 12,000 outer cells. These microscopic hairs are so insanely sensitive, they can detect structural movements smaller than the width of a single hydrogen atom. No way, right? But here's the catch.
Those 15,500 hair cells are completely useless without their supporting cast. Look at these crucial membranes. You have Reissner's membrane, which maintains a highly specific chemical and fluid balance, and amazingly, it's only 2 cells thick. Then the basilar membrane acts as that biological tuning ribbon we mentioned a minute ago, and the tectorial membrane is this gelatinous matrix hovering just above the hairs, creating the exact mechanical shearing force needed to bend them and send an electrical spark straight to your brain. According to the text, if just one of these membranes is missing or even slightly malformed, the whole shebang fails. That's irreducible complexity in action. Now, the source text pauses its biological deep dive here to reflect on the overarching theological purpose of this design, quoting Psalm 94:9, "He that planted the ear, shall he not hear?" It's a really fascinating transition point in the text, bridging the gap between the microscopic realities of fluids and membranes and the broader spiritual claim that this anatomy is a purposeful signature of a creator who listens. And that brings us to Section 4, the Hidden Balance Center. So, we've spent all this time talking about sound, right? But the ear holds another secret. We're going to make a bit of a lateral twist in the narrative here, because the inner ear isn't just for hearing. It houses the machinery that keeps us upright. The vestibular system consists of 3 semicircular canals that detect when you rotate your head. Then you have the utricle and saccule detecting linear acceleration, like when you're in a car that's speeding up. And you even have otoliths, which are literally microscopic ear crystals that respond to gravity, so you always know up from down. What is truly amazing about all this is that this system works constantly and silently. It is calculating physics and gravity even while you are fast asleep.
And it definitely doesn't work in isolation. We have this incredible multisensory integration happening. Your vestibular system plus your visual system plus your body's movement feedback all combine to create your spatial awareness. The source actually points out this highly synergistic relationship as yet another proof against gradual evolution. The argument is that this interconnected network is so fragile and codependent that natural selection just couldn't possibly orchestrate its gradual assembly. Moving into our final section, we zoom back out from the microscopic to the macro-human experience, the challenges of hearing loss.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the source text approaches the tragedy of hearing loss. It views it not as a flaw in the original design, but as the result of time, age, and entropy in a fallen world acting upon a once perfect system. Look at how presbycusis, or age-related hearing loss, breaks down here. It isn't just one single mechanical failure. It's hair cells dying, the basilar membrane stiffening, nerve deterioration, and reduced blood flow. It is a highly coordinated degeneration of a brilliantly unified but ultimately incredibly fragile biological system. And, the result of that physical degeneration is a profound human impact. The text spends time discussing the very real-life struggles of the deaf and hard of hearing communities. We're talking about communication barriers, deep social isolation and loneliness, and serious educational challenges. Because the source material views hearing as a divine tool for relationship, it calls heavily for compassion, respect, and creative connection, like using sign language or visual aids to bridge that gap for those who cannot hear. So the crucial point is this, and I really want to leave you with this final thought today. If hearing truly is a masterpiece of design meant for connection, how can we better listen to and support those whose ears are failing? It's a powerful question that bridges the staggering biological complexity we've explored today with the very real human call for empathy and relationship. I hope this explainer has given you a whole new appreciation for the absolute marvel that sits right on the side of your head. Keep learning, keep listening, and I'll see you next time.